Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 3 of the Lightworkers Summit. Oh, happy April. Hi, guys. How's everybody going? How's everybody doing? How's everybody going? How's everything going? How are you guys feeling this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you are in the world? If you don't know, every morning of the Lightworkers Summit, I've been wearing another outfit that I would normally be wearing at Magma, which is our event that's normally happening at this time. So I just thought I'd put on a casual headdress and a wig at 5 a.m. for you guys. You're welcome. I'm going to bring on Jumbo and we're going to get started. Let's see. Hey, Jumbo.
Evening, morning, afternoon, everyone.
Hello. How are you?
Surrounded by sage.
Of course. What else would you be?
Right. Surrounded by sage smoke. How's everyone doing? Is everyone having a good time? I hope so. Well, thank you very much for joining me today. I know that it's super early, so first of all, I would just like to say I massively appreciate you guys coming on at this time. Can't wait to share this story with you guys.
Okay. Me too. So, I'm super excited.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much, Rosie, Kit, for inviting me to this.
Yeah, of course. Jumbo, before you get started, I want to do a quick little interview with you. Is that okay?
Oh, please. You know I love an interview.
Okay, good. Because I want to tell people who you are and why you're important to us and how they can find you if they love this presentation. Sound good?
Okay, great.
Okay. All right. So guys, Jumbo is my mentor and he has taught me and Kit many things, but he's been my personal mentor for a long time now. We first met in 2014 in DC at a forest yoga workshop. And he was teaching yoga. And there was a moment in that workshop. Oh, he was teaching us to do body work on each other, which was amazing because I've already been a body worker. And I'm doing body work on someone. And Jumbo looks at me from across the room and he just makes a beeline and he comes right up to me and he whispers in my ear and he goes, "My, you're a powerful one, aren't you?" And from that moment on, he was my favorite person in the world. No. We've done lots of amazing things together. So he hosted his first yoga bodyworkers training with Brian Campbell, another Forest Yoga Guardian, in Asheville in 2016 at our yoga studio. And we got 30 people to come to Asheville, North Carolina for those two. And we had the most amazing time. That's where we really met Corey and Queenie and Lola as well. They were all at that training, and now they're all lead coaches in our company. And so it was really a magical time. And then we've done all kinds of stuff all over the world. So I assisted Jumbo in 2018 in Bali during a Forest Yoga Foundation teacher training. That was amazing. My driver, Jumbo, is on the summit. Kumu, my driver, he's on the summit. Yeah, he just sent me a picture from Bali Buddha, and I was like, yeah. So Jumbo, today you're presenting about Psychomagic. So this is a relatively newer branch for you. Can you tell me a little bit about how you got into this and what is it?
Sure. So for those of you guys who have worked with me before or attended any sort of forest yoga or yoga body workers event, there's usually a moment when you are cued to do an enactment in the process of your delivery of either body work or whilst you're teaching yoga. And I was very fascinated by this process. And the way that I coach people really comes from two areas. One of them is my experience of working in integrated health for about 20 years now. So a big element of that was around health coaching. Otherwise known these days more like I think it's still health coaching, coaching people to step into their power, transformative stuff. And then I would be coached by Anna Forrest to help she basically guided me to begin to read what was going on in the unconscious patterns. Are you okay with that noise? It's the call to prayer. You guys okay with that? God has come to help us. How wonderful is that? How wonderful is that? There's like thousands of Muslims praying at the same time as we do that. That's just fantastic. Huh?
I love it.
So she would coach me to read the unconscious patterns that were showing up in people whilst they were teaching. And then I would be able to take them through the process. Our very fun game. Those of you guys who've done the training is the take the fucking cue game. If you guys remember that. So really, within that 10-minute process whilst you're teaching in that particular arena, you then have this opportunity, a very short moment, to use your position as a yoga teacher to make a huge transformation. And within that transformation, essentially what is happening is that you are taking an unconscious pattern of yours and transforming it, taking it into the light. And then, and usually, on a very basic level, what people usually discover in those moments, in those brief moments, is their own voice, or their own power of authority, or their own power in general, or their ability to do something like to stand up in front of people and be heard. So I was super fascinated with this. And Rosie, you remember when we were in Bali during March 2018, you know, we have to go through that process, right? And I wanted to get better at it. I wanted to get deeper at it. And over the years, a whole bunch of things has happened, and I don't assist Anna as much as I would love to. So I decided that I wanted to investigate deeper into this work. So I came across a guy, Alejandro Jodorowsky, who's this very established director of filmmakers. He's known amongst my movie filmmaker friends as the director's director. And he has these very short movies that are like super way out there. He's not the Hollywood kind of director at all. And within his movies, they're all mixed with very weird combination of spirituality, politics, sexuality, that kind of stuff. Like Rosie, like this is like Rosie's bag. So you guys know Rosie, like it's like that cauldron, like there's like a cauldron of that like crazy stuff. And I thought, okay, I'm going to investigate his work. And really what gripped me was one of his lines, which was this: when an individual is shown that they have a hidden act within them and they're given an opportunity to explore it, to share it, they will immediately grasp it, which is very, very similar to that moment when you're teaching and then you're told, okay, now start shouting or something like that. And in that moment of, oh yeah, I get to do that right now, usually, people then totally step into that role, and then they create this enactment, they act this behavior out, and then that takes the unconscious, which believe that it needed to be quiet, for example, into another dimension. So really that was why I got fascinated with it. And then so as I began to explore deeper his work of psychomagic, which is essentially creating these enactments that people can do that are very, very like dreamlike. And his work is very heavily based around lucid dreaming, which is something that I've also been getting into lately. So you'll notice that when you're sleeping, the ego is out of the way and you'll have these crazy dreams. And these are the unconscious releasing stuff, really. That's like the beginning of things moving out. Or the unconscious letting us know, like, this is really what's going on underneath all of our layers and shields and masks right now. So in diving into this work, I discovered that what I had to do was study the tarot. Now, those of you guys who know me know that I am not a tarot person at all, at all. I'm an anatomy teacher. I'm obsessed with biomechanics. I'm obsessed with the human experience through the medium of the physical body. Exactly, right? Like, and I think I must have played with tarot once when I was maybe 13 years old and got freaked out by it because it was so accurate. And afterwards, I felt very, very drained. And after feeling drained, I decided, you know what, maybe this is just a little bit too much for me. I'm meddling with something that I'm unsure about. And so I'm just going to leave it alone. And so throughout my adult life, I didn't poo-poo tarot. I just didn't feel that it was for me. So I show up and then I find out I've got to study the tarot. I'm thinking, fuck, this is, what? Okay, fine. I'll take the fucking cue and I'll study the tarot. And then I went on this explorative journey that lasted between 5 and 6 months, where I had to embody each of the archetypes of the 22 major arcana. And this was when it changed things for me, because then I understood the psychotherapeutic aspect behind it. Honorowski calls this shamanic psychotherapy, because when you study the archetypes, essentially the fool's journey, and you channel the archetypes when you go through this particular journey, that you embody them. And that enables you to, when you go out and do the reading, to be able to explain to somebody actually what's going on in the unconscious reality. So in a moment, what I would really like to do is I would like to just talk you guys through a very, very modest, short story of the journey of the fool. And then after that, I would like to give you a demonstration of a reading and how I would prescribe a spell, a psychomagic spell. How does that sound? Great. And okay, so let's do that first. And I'm keeping an eye on time, and I will try to. I would really like to be able to make myself available to answer any questions at the end. But you know what we have is quite a limited amount of time, so I would like to.
You've got about an hour and a half, Jumbo, if you need it.
Great.
And I'll keep an eye on it for you. So if you start to get close or start to run out of time, I'll let you know.
I love you so much.
I love you too. And if you need me to unmute anybody or anything like that, I can do that too. So okay.
Great. Thank you.
All right.
So Rosie, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a photo of this so that everybody can see. Is that okay? How should I send it to you?
If you want to text it to me, I can upload it to the Zoom chat.
Great, that would be great. Thank you. Okay. All right. I just sent it. And please excuse the wet patch. This is very me. I spilled water all over the place. Okay. Yes. Cleansing. Okay, you guys see it? Yeah? Great. Okay, I'll give you another minute. Once you're doing that, I'll just... Okay, then I will start. So you can see here that on the left-hand side of the spread is the Fool, le main, and on the right-hand side is the World. So the whole process of the major arcana is the Fool's journey through life. Now, you can describe this journey of life as the moment that you were born to the moment that you die, and you can also speak about the Fool's journey in the cyclic relationships that we have with life, such as processes that we go through, experiences of healing, learning how to be a coach or learning how to be a yoga teacher, for example. And so within all of the journeys, there is this process that we all go through that's very, very, very much related to, well, it very much is involved in all of the archetypes that make up the human experience. So we begin with the Fool. And you can see here that the Fool is the only one without a number, which means that he comes from pure essence. And where he's going to is the World, the final card. Yes, okay. Final card, actualization, realization, perfection of everything. Now, I will move the card, the Fool now, so that it's next to the world. So you will see the world here. And now I've moved the card from one side of the deck and I've placed it here. And now what happens is that the cycle continues. Now, when it comes to the process of healing, as far as I'm concerned, this work happens in spirals. So, for example, any of us who have issues with something such as eating disorders or body loathing, for example, which are backgrounds that I personally come from, you notice that every so often there'll be moments when, as you're going through the cycle of life, there'll be moments when you hit back at any of these old triggers and they come back up and they show themselves again. So that's that process, right? So then the Fool, he is a zero. He has no number. He is pure essence. And so the Fool, who is pure essence, needs to incarnate into something. So he incarnates into number one, the concept, the beginning, the idea, the beginning of a journey. You can see here that the magician is wearing a huge hat and his table is disconnected to his lower chakras. So we know here that when this state is in the state where we are of the mind. And so the state of the mind is, the state of the mind is when we are thinking about something. Oh yeah, you know, like I kind of want to be a yoga teacher. Oh, okay, what am I going to do about that? All right, maybe I'll do some free classes on YouTube first. And then maybe after that, I'll just do all the types of yoga that I can possibly get my hands on, possibly get my mat into a room to do. And I will just do. But I don't really know what I'm doing yet. I'm just doing it. And then from that moment of like doing all this stuff, you realize, okay, so I have this idea and I want to do, but I'm not quite ready to do yet. I need to start somewhere. So we move into the the High Priestess, which is the number two. And two is when there is another. So first there was a concept. I desired to be a yoga teacher. I'm going to strategically think about all this stuff. I'm going to plan it. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to see how much money I've got, etc., etc. And then the two is when you then combine, there's another. And there needs to be another so that there's duality. So we can already see here that the Fool is pure essence, unified oneness, the entire universe. And when he comes into the magician, he is the first experience of yang. And right after the first experience of yang, there must be the experience of yin in order for there to be balance amongst all of the chaos. So that's when we have the High Priestess. And so the High Priestess here, you can see that her skin is white and she's looking at a book. We know that because her skin is white, she doesn't go outside much. So what we know from that is that this archetype is one of deep reflection, introspection, meditation. She's reading a book, so she's studying. So this is the time when we are on the path of becoming a yoga teacher, when we geek out like crazy. We're like reading every single thing we can get our hands on, whether we believe it to be good or not, whether we believe it to be true or not. We're just reading, feeding ourselves in this incubated space. And then from that space, you have the three of the Empress. And the Empress, the number three, is when energy begins to explode outwards. It's like the energy of a teenager, the enthusiasm. Okay, so now I've read about this guru, that guru. I've done 18,000 different types of yoga poses. I've studied 7 different types of yoga schools. Now I'm ready. I'm going to burst out into the world. But I still don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just going to go for it. And I throw myself everywhere. I walk around. I tell everyone to take a deep breath. I walk around. I criticize everybody for having shoulders up to their ears. You know that state? That's the energetics of the Empress. Like, I want to help, even if people don't give a fuck. I'm going to help anyway because I can. And so we have all this burst out of energy that's going on. And then we move into the 4 of the Emperor. And the 4 of the Emperor is going, okay, it's great that you have all this energy, but you need to have some structure around it. You need to organize some stuff. You need to notice, for example, when advice should be given and when it shouldn't be given. So the energy of 4 is the energy of this stability, this confidence, this security. And so we have this security. Oh, excuse me, I've mixed the cards up. Ah, my bad. Excuse me. So I just moved the Pope and the Lover around, okay? So it's 5, which is the Pope next, my bad. So we move into the energy of the Pope. And the number 5 is a number of uncomfortable change, actually. So you have the Emperor who has his entire kingdom. He's got everything in order. Everyone is paying their taxes. Everyone is got enough to eat. There is like natural order in the world. Everything is organized. All of my people are happy. My kingdom is happy. All of my soldiers in place. I feel safe. I feel safe. But the Pope comes in and says, look, honey, the world isn't flat. It isn't just about you. You're not the biggest man on the planet. You're not the biggest man in reality. There is something else called God. And at this point, the emperor's like, oh, fuck, there's more. There's way more. And so the Pope's job is to instruct, to channel the energy of God, to share it to the people, to teach at a level that the emperor cannot. And so now there's this new thing that's happening, this birth of a new creation, very much like the energy that we can expect to happen after the things that are going on in the world now change gears and move into their new direction. And so we move into the energy of six, the energy of the lovers. And so the six is where we have abundance, where abundance begins to creep in. Now we're beginning to sense now, oh yeah, I've been doing everything from 0 all the way to 5, and I've gathered these tools, this equipment, this knowledge, this money, these ideas, these traditions, and now this energy called God. So there's like, the 6 is, well, what do I do with this stuff? So 6 is very much about making decisions. Now it's time to make choices. Now it's time to quieten down from all the crazy yoga stuff that's going on social media so I can hear what the yoga within my own heart is. So 6 is very much about listening to your own heart. And from the 6, now that we've discovered the language inside of our heart, we then jump into the 7. And the 7, the chariot here, he's the stud. He's the stud of the Arcana. Look at him. He's standing there. He's not holding on to anything. He's got these 2 wild horses that are charging him forwards. Above him, he has every single star, all 12 of them, every single planet, every single astrological channel is right above him, channeling through him, moving him forward. So 7 is the number of divine action, fearless action. Divinity is right behind me. And so we go out into the world. We're like so brave now because we're better than the Empress. We did that before. And now we have this additional accumulated knowledge. We're going. And so when we go forwards, we jump into the 8. And the 8 is the number of perfection. 8 is justice looking right at you. She's the divine mother. She's the earth mother. And she's looking directly into your eyes and she has this message for you. Exhale everything out wherever you're at. Start to inhale now. The justice is saying to you, you are perfect as you are. And so with this perfection, there's no judgment. There's the ultimate compassion of Kuan Yin right there. The compassion of the earthly mother. And so we realize that we've reached perfection, right? And that's a ceiling. We've gone from the fool, the magician, the priestess, the empress, we've moved through everything. We've got to past the chariot. We've got to perfection. We're here. We're like, oh, I've got everything. I've got everything that I wanted the whole time. I'm now teaching 60 classes a week and I'm earning really good money for it. This can't be it. Maybe I'm feeling a little bit tired. Maybe I'm feeling a little bit bored. Is this it? This was my dreams. All of my dreams come true and I don't like it. There must be more. Help me break through the ceiling, which is when we jump into the energy of 9, the energy of the hermit who goes, fuck me. If this is perfection, then there must be more. And because there must be more, I'm in this huge crisis now. What the fuck have I been doing from 0 to 8 all this time? I thought that was everything. And now I realize I've reached this ceiling. No, there must be more. So I must surrender everything. I must forget about everything that I've ever studied. It's that moment when you come to forest yoga and you realize, oh shit, yeah, I've been using my neck to compensate, for example. And you're like, oh fuck, I've been focused on a drishti for such a long time. I'm now gonna let that stuff go. It's hard to let that stuff go because that was the fundamental truth of everything that you believe. And that is the energy of the hermit. So when we move through the energy of the hermit, we then land in 10, the wheel, the cycles. And we realize that actually what I've been going on, what I've been doing is repeating my own samsara. And you'll see here that at the end of the wheel that there's a handle. So usually when we're looking at a spread, whoever is next to the wheel lets us know who is making this cycle go on and on and on. But here you jump to 11, which is technically what is within this story here, who is next turning this wheel. And that's the force. And you can see here that the Force, first of all, has the same hat as the Magician, her friend directly above her, her Yang equivalent above her right there. So they both have, they're both of this place of, okay, I have this new idea. And you can see that she's holding this beast. Is she holding this beast? Is she taming this beast? Is she becoming friends with this beast? You can also see that this beast is at the height of her lower center. So what this lets us know is, in order to get through the ceiling, I need to go. In order to experience more of God, of unified oneness, of all of creation, of this idea of where is source, I can't go up anymore. This is the moment when you realize, oh my God, I've been telling everyone to be love and light. Breathe in peace, breathe out anger. You know, like with all that, like rainbow, la stuff. So I've been doing that for years, and I realize now, no, I've got to embrace my anger. I've got to embrace my sexuality. I've got to embrace my cravings. I've got to embrace all the stuff that I've never dared let the world know that I had before. And that is the Force. And so we have this realization, fuck, I've been going that way the whole time, and now I've got to go this way. Well, if that way, this whole time was everything, and I thought that I was with everything, and now when I go down, I realize there's a shitload more down there, then really, I've only been experiencing half of everything. That's what I've been doing. Hence, we have the Hangman. And the Hangman's energy is this: oh my God. Oh my God, did that really happen? Is this happening? Is this like, what? Okay. I refuse to do anything. And this is the time in our yoga career when we decide, okay, I'm going to take a little bit of a break from doing yoga, just a break, because actually I don't know if it's good for me. Things are starting to hurt. I'm not really progressing. Yoga people actually piss me off, you know, whatever. You're in that place, right? That's the Hangman's place. And so from the Hangman's place, okay, I refuse to do anything. So I haven't been doing anything, and I've stopped myself from doing anything for a little while. Nope, that's it, I refuse to do it. And then after I've been doing this for a little while, I decide, okay, that's it. I have got to destroy everything. And here comes the 13th Arcana, otherwise known as Death in other tarots, right? The 13th Arcana is the power of transformation. This is great change. And so you can see that his counterpart, the Empress, remember her energy was just to burst out and give into the world. That was her way of delivering power into the world. And the 13th Arcana's way of creating more power is doing a huge spring clean. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that book. I'm going to get rid of that book. I'm going to get rid of that book. I'm going to go through my emails. I'm going to look at all these yoga people that I follow. Or Instagram. Remember those days when you go unsubscribe, 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 unfollow, unfollow, unfollow. That's the 13th Arcana. And then so what happens is then you end up with a list or an Instagram group of people, Instagram feed of people that you actually want to see. And then we're like, oh yeah, I feel healed now. I feel better about my relationship with my work now. And that is the energy of the Temperance. Harmony, finding the richness in everything. Yeah, it wasn't so bad. Now I have this. Now when I scroll, at least I like everyone that I see. And so this angel has made us realize, okay, so I reached this place of harmony. I've reached this place of harmony despite all this crazy stuff that's just happened to me. So then I reach the house god. And the house god does this. I want to party. I want to go out now. And now I realize I can actually teach yoga however the fuck I want, because it doesn't really matter, because everything else didn't really matter. That's the energy of the house god. A fucking explosion of energy. Look at it. It's phallic. Not only is it phallic, but it's got all of these, like it's got a huge opening at the top, and it's got all of this energy spraying out all over the place. The 16th card is the energy of an intense orgasm. That's how powerful it is. And so now we realize, oh my God, I can have this orgastic experience about my life, my career, my healing process. Well, what else is there about me? What about the other stuff that I really haven't shown people? What are the stuff that I haven't looked at myself for real? And this is the energy of the devil, looking right at you. He's another one that's looking right at you saying, come on, honey, show us what you've got. Show us your desires. Show us the desires that freak you the fuck out. So the devil is saying, look, There's a lot of power in this stuff. So let's be here. And now, so when you're in this place of accepting, actually, my weirdness is great. You know, I love it when I fuck up. I'm suddenly okay with my mistakes. The devil is that moment when you're like, you know what, guys, I can't remember if you need to step your left foot forwards or your right foot forwards, or I confuse my left and right, but I don't care. I'm going to continue teaching anyway. That is the energy of the devil. I don't care about making mistakes. I don't care if I say a Sanskrit word wrong. I don't care if I got the 5 and the 6 mixed up just now. Don't care. And so because we don't care, there's a greater acceptance of who we are as an individual, and then we can go into the star. And you see here that the star is the only naked archetype of the whole arcana. The star is saying, this is me, this is my body, this is where I've settled in the earth, this is who I am. And you can see her counterpart, the 7, remember the stud of the arcana, the one that was like going forwards, bravely conquering whatever, was just conquering whatever, wherever he was going. His energy was moving outwards in that way. And so the star's energy of moving outwards in that way is, I completely accept myself. It's that moment when you're able to enter into a yoga space and begin teaching no matter what the fuck is going on in the room, no matter what is going on in your world. And so then we move into the moon. And the moon is when we're so comfortable with our shadows, so comfortable with them, that we realize all of our darkness has a huge, huge benefit of becoming friends with, of falling in love with. When we're at the moon, you know, when we're at the force, it's like, oh, I have an ego. Shit. And then as you go through the journey from the force all the way up to this, all the way up to the devil, essentially, you're doing these dalliances. You're dancing with your ego. Like, you become friends with it. You're like talking to your inner child. You're getting more involved. You're allowing the parts of yourself that haven't been heard or seen or noticed to express themselves further. And so because you are able to embody your shadows so much, then we jump into 19, the energy of the sun, the energy of realizing I am abundant. I can give, and I can give freely. The sun gives because he can. There's no question about it. The sun gives because he can trust himself. And then we jump into the 20th. And so the 20th is when we are reborn, realized, actualized in the belief that we are born with a divine purpose and we have something very unique to share. And then we jump into 21, completion, totality. I've realized who I am. So you can see here that this is a very simple process that reflects itself in many different areas of life. And so when you do the readings, it really depends on the question in mind, the kind of spread that's being drawn, that will let you know which archetypes are playing up right now. And so if you guys were interested in studying this, what would happen is that you would have a certain period of time per card, per archetype. And I would teach you the symbology of each card. And then we would go into the Jungian perspective of each of the archetypes also. And that's how it shifts into a psychotherapeutic experience. And then based on how the cards show themselves up is how you then prescribe a psychomagic spell in order to help that person come out. The way that I like to describe this work is like this. I am the energy of the fool right now. And I've channeled into this story for you guys. And my job is to bring in the energy of the clown, the sacred clown. One of my guides is the Heyoka, the sacred clown. Now the Heyoka, one of its tasks is to show through the medium of jest what is in your way. And those of you guys who know me know that when you guys are going through your shit, I will totally take the piss. So that's a very English term. Take the piss. Basically, I make fun of the situation until you can laugh about it and realize how ridiculous you're being about allowing this ego cycle to just take over the moment, the perfection of the present moment. And so the psychomagic spell essentially does this. It takes the unconscious and it invites it to dance with your light. So that was the story. How do you guys feel about that? Did you like it? Good. I can't see everybody at the same time, but yeah? Okay. Yay, I'm glad you guys liked it. Okay. So remember that I said that the Psychomagic that is prescribed is pretty weird. And remember also that I spoke about how it's very much connected to lucid dreaming. So a lot of the psychomagic spells that are prescribed are channeled through. And when they're channeled through, you do this enactment that is it's almost as, it's not almost, it's very much as weird as a dream. And you'll notice that when you dream and the unconscious reveals itself in that way, you kind of don't mind. Like you can have the weirdest, wackiest, scariest, raunchiest, dirtiest dreams, and you wake up and go, oh, that was a bit weird. And then you just get up and get on with your day, right? And that was the release happening there because you're in the dream state. But when you do it in your waking state, it's quite interesting. So one of the psychomagics that I had to do, which I'll share with you guys, and for those of you guys who know me, you know that I like to joke, and if you haven't worked out that I like to swear already, then yeah, I'll just remind you about that now. And so when I'm teaching, I like to use the energy of jest to bring in very taboo and a taboo approach to show you how ridiculous you're being about allowing the egoic state to run the perfection of the present moment. And so I would be teaching and I would crack jokes all day long. And on occasion, I would finish teaching a day and I would go back to wherever I was staying and I would have the deepest anxiety, the greatest regret for allowing my gums to clamp up and down all day and let anything roll out of my mouth. And I would say that 99% of the time when I was, or maybe 100% of the time actually, when I was making those jokes, they were probably not that offensive, but in my mind, I blew them up to something enormous. And so this was the psychomagic that I had to do. And the irony was that this psychomagic was prescribed to me at the same time as Joker was released. But I had to dress up as a homeless clown. And I had to be dirty. I had to be like unshowered, uncleaned. Like I had to make myself very, very stinky. And then I had to walk around for a couple of hours with a huge sign. And on this sign, it said these words: I am a fool. I am worthless. I have no value. I am pathetic. And I need you to help me in order for me to survive. I was in Thailand at the time. So on the back of this board, I wrote the whole thing in Thai to make sure that everybody understood. And then so I had to go around and I had to deliberately do really, really shit jokes. So first of all, I decided to do it in Thailand instead of the UK because I thought around the time of the Joker, if I'm running around like a clown, deliberately telling deliberately shit jokes, I'm gonna get arrested and the psychomagic isn't gonna work. So I'm gonna go to Thailand where they're just a little bit more open-minded about stuff like that over there, especially with movies and stuff, right? They don't freak out as easily. And so I had to do that for a couple of hours and I went to a joke shop and I bought loads of shit pieces of anatomy like fingers, eyeballs, teeth, liver, hearts, and all that kind of stuff. And I would go around, and I wasn't, I wasn't even making words. I was just making noises. And I was just making these weird noises to get people to come and pay attention to these jokes that I was doing. And I would like have an eyeball in my hand and like throw my head back and then smack the back of my head, and then out would be an eyeball. And I would have these people. The jokes were that shit, guys. They were that shit. But people were throwing money at me, absolutely throwing money at me. Like people, and the interesting thing was, it wasn't the fucking tourists that were throwing money at me. It was the Thai local people that were throwing money at me. All the tourists were running away thinking, who is this fucking weirdo? But I was like, oh, I'm okay with this. And you know, I decided to deepen the psychomagic by doing this. As I was marching down the streets of Chiang Mai, I saw a group of really fit white tourists, all guys, So I thought, okay, this would be really good for me. So I left typical forest yoga style, right? And I marched right over. And I'm like, do these really shit jokes in front of these really hot guys who I'd probably want to have an orgy with or something like that. And they totally blanked me and made fun of me and then just walked off. But I felt so unscathed by it. And then since then, whenever I have a moment of going, oh yeah, I really should have said that, there's a different feeling about it. There is a desire within myself of, actually, I would really like to work on that aspect of myself, instead of oh my God, the whole world has just collapsed and everything has fallen apart. So it works like that. Interesting? Yeah? Okay. So let's see for time. What are we like for time? How are we for time, Rosie?
You still have about an hour, Jumbo.
Oh, that's great. Okay. Well, before I go into reading, does anybody have any questions so far? Or you want me to just go for it?
If you have a question, you can type it in the chat box, or you could raise your hand and I can bring you off of mute. So just let me know. You've got 63 people on live right now.
Wow.
Super exciting.
Corey's getting the reading. Yeah, great. Okay. Well, in that case, shall we just do it?
I think there was one question. Sarah Magida said, "Wait, why did you do this?" I think there might be a little bit of, yeah, here you go. She says, she repeated it. Why did you decide to become the Fool in Thailand? So I think like, how does the assignment come about in Psychomagic?
Okay, so remember that the question was about this anxiety. The reading was about, I had this anxiety about saying these jokes that I regret. Remember that bit? So then that was what the reading was about. And then it's actually the display of the cards within the spread that then leads towards that decision. Does that make sense? Like, I couldn't tell you what the spread was now. It was such a long time ago, but.
Yeah, and then the question, did you self-prescribe or did someone else assign this to you?
No. This was my teacher. This was part of my journey through the Fool. Actually, this was part of my journey through the Arcana. So when you guys learn, if you decide to learn how to do this, you have to go through the entire experience of it. That is how you learn how to prescribe the Psychomagic.
I can also share the assignment that you gave me a few weeks ago, if you want.
Oh, great. Yes, please. I don't use any other decks. Yeah, please, Rosie. That would be great, if you don't mind.
Sure. Okay. Gosh. Okay. There's a lot of different layers to it. But essentially, it was to prepare for magma. I was getting ready to prepare for magma, and in magma, magma is our live event that we normally have during this time. So the Lightworker Summit is taking the place of magma, and it's an in-person event. It's 4 days, and Kit and I lead it, and we also lead a group of people who are kind of like our assistants. But what ends up happening at magma is there are levels of energetic work going on that transform you in a really, really deep way. Especially as an assistant, you are holding energy for a container of 50 to 70 people doing the deepest transformation of their lives. And so what ends up happening, which I did not anticipate the first time, is that my team of people, they all end up having massive energetic upgrades, and I'm the one holding space for that. And they happen after the day is over, usually, when all the energy starts getting released. And so I've been working with my two mentors right now, Jumbo and Raven, around how do I up-level energetically as a leader, as someone who can assist these people in, you know, how to not hold on to energy and how to release it instead, how to spot an entity and set it free, and how to do this kind of this basic level work of shifting energy, releasing energy, moving energy, all of that stuff. Because it's really important work to do. And so Jumbo did a reading for me. And Jumbo, I can't remember what the cards were that were coming up, but I think
I remember
the strength.
I remember. Oh, go on.
No, you go ahead.
I remember distinctly it was very much about connecting to your vagina.
Yes. So there's the Empress.
That's right.
The Empress and
The Star.
the Star. And all of the sexy lady cards, basically. I think Strength as well, the one with the lion, wherever she is. I can't see her right now.
I love
And so essentially, you know, Jumbo is helping me harness like my mother goddess energy and also my connection to my sexuality, which is something that has felt very disconnected for me, especially since I've had a baby. And the assignment ended up being to take my menstrual blood, mix it with honey, and draw an infinity symbol on my forehead, my heart, and my solar plexus every day for 8 days with the middle finger of my left hand. And there was more to it than that as well. That was going to happen in person at Magma with my leadership team. That's not happening right now, but it's happening on other levels, of course. And, you know, I was like, yeah, I can do that. No problem. Actually, I have a picture of myself doing it if you guys want to see. Hold on. It's right in my, yeah, here we go. I sent that picture to Jumbo. And it worked. It worked. So what it did was it really, like, for me, the symbol of it was that I don't need to doubt myself as a leader, as a healer of these people, and as someone who knows the way, who knows how to energetically up-level other people on my team. So I have a problem of always questioning myself of, is this right? Am I doing it right? Am I following the traditions correctly? Am I respecting everyone? Am I allowed to do this? Like, am I prepared enough to do this? And it's like, let's fuck all that shit right there. And put some blood on your fucking forehead and remember that you're infinite and everyone else is infinite around you. And you are the portal for them to up-level themselves. It's not about you being the container for them, because that's all just a false idea in the first place, that you can contain anyone else's power or that you are the gateway to anyone else's power. But, you know, creating that infinity symbol and connecting to that really, really deep feminine magic, it did open up a new portal for me, because look at this Lightworker Summit. There's 1,500 people here. And it definitely did give me permission to just follow my intuition, to follow my instincts, follow my fucking vagina, and lead from that place instead of thinking, oh, I need to look up the things in my book and make sure it's right. It's like, no, just lead from your heart, lead from your balls, lead from your vagina. Yeah, and so that's having a ripple effect on my team right now as well, the ones who are working with me. Yeah. And my sex life is great too. Been having great sex. So thanks, Jessica.
I love it. Oh yeah,
I love you.
Don't expect to work with me and not have better sex, okay, guys? I love you too, Rosie. Thank you so much. So somebody asked a question here that I would like to respond to about, for those countries where certain psychomagic would get you into trouble, such as Qatar, UK, would you share the same advice you shared from, okay. Can you not practice the homework? What other ways would you practice the release? So here's the thing, right? What was prescribed for Rosie is unique for Rosie. This is why it's important, if you want to learn how to prescribe psychomagic, that you go through the experience. When you go through the experience, you clean up a lot of your own stuff. And when you have more, when you clear up your own stuff, essentially you get out of the way and you begin to channel clearer messages from divinity. And so when you're given the psychomagic, Salma, yours would not be the same as mine. It would not be the same as Rosie's. I wouldn't ask you to do those things based on knowing you as you are. I would actually ask you to do something very, very different. So the direct answer is this. You will always be asked to do something where the self and the ego feel a little bit uncomfortable around it. That's part of the spell to break the curse. And occasionally there is a reason why somebody can't do something, and it's usually around their mental health more so than where they live, because I've never really channeled anything through that was inappropriate for where the person lived. But some feedback that I've got from a spell that I've given before would be something like this. I'm concerned that because I don't have supporting people around me in my immediate surroundings right now, that I may get triggered back into old ways of feeling mentally. And so then I would then have to prescribe something that would take a lot longer. You know, mine was a couple of hours. Rosie's was 8 days. Some people have to do things for way longer. Days, months. It just depends on the person. It depends on the question. Cindy, I love you too. I miss you a ton. Yes, Susie Jamieson is online here, and she also had a process, I believe that was 10 days, involving lots of masks. Okay, I'll turn my head around how the cards present themselves, how they're supposed to, and it's not just coincidence. This is also something that comes up with me with woo-woo stuff, although I love it. I still struggle wrapping my head around things that don't make sense. Okay, so Cassandra, I would like to remind you, I don't know if you were here at the beginning of my story, but here's my background. I'm a consultant of complementary medicine. I spent the first 12 years of my career dealing with doctors and convincing them to give me money so that I could provide services for people that were in services that are around mental health, addiction, eating disorders, and sexual abuse. One of my skills was being able to pull up enough evidence to show them like the benefits of things such as Reiki, and let them get away, let them give me money to create these various clinics all over the north of the UK so this kind of stuff could happen. And then as a yoga teacher, I spent a long time building a face or an image that I was the guy that knew why something happened biomechanically. If there was something up with an injury, I could tell you exactly why that was going on. And this is how I built my career. So I was the guy, this was my message. If I can't prove it, I ain't gonna say it. Now, this aspect of myself was really born from a particular trauma that happened to me when I was unable to support my family at quite a young age, and they were going through some really heavy stuff. And so at that time, I decided, I turned to my altar, to Kuan Yin, who I'd been working with since I was 14. And at this time, I must have been in my early 20s. And because Kuan Yin wasn't helping my mother, I stuck my fingers at the altar and said, that's it, I'm done with you, I'm not doing this ever again. And I completely turned away from it, which is why I went into science for the next decade. And, you know, like within the realms of science, I've realized that every now and again, I get pulled back into the realm of magic. So so when I teach anatomy now, I definitely also do ceremony. And the reason is because of this. You can learn anatomy, and there's many different ways of doing it. So for example, you could talk to wonderful anatomy teachers who are very, what we call Newtonian about their approach to anatomy. The apple falls, there's a sound. You know, that kind of thing, that there's an A, there's a B, there's a C. There is a logic to it all the time. And although this is true, we are now within the field, we're now in the space of understanding human anatomy like this. You can't study human anatomy without understanding the spirit, which means that you can't really work with anatomy until you know what's going on with somebody's emotional state, the traumas they embody, and that they embody. And by allowing the equations to integrate those aspects of the human being, then you're able to actually better help them to go to the next level of their healing. I hope that makes sense. And so basically what I'm saying is this: science and magic are two sides of the same coin, and you definitely need one to explain the other. You know, like, for example, remember I was telling you at the beginning of the story, like the world was once flat until it was proven differently. In the last decade, everybody has become fascinated with the quantum field.
the existence of quantum energy and how we are all aspects of this of quantum of the quantum. We are quantum. Therefore, we are quantum. And then when we move into the quantum, we're able to explain why things such as coaching helps, because you're able to tap into another aspect of yourself, a much bigger aspect of yourself, change the way that you think, speak, behave, do, and then some crazy magic happens. So, you know, there's many ways to look at that stuff, and for the amount of time that I have, I'm trying to very humbly give it the best explanation that I can. But what I can say to you is this: you can never explain what is going on in the unconscious. The unconscious doesn't have logic to it. You can't reason with the unconscious. It takes a lot of time to do that. And the unconscious behaviors that show up in our lives are things that are weird, almost can't be questioned. Like, we don't know why we lose our shit at our partner. We just lose our shit. And that's the unconscious. I hope that answered that question for you. Okay, great. I think it's Jean. I think that's how I pronounce your name. I hope I've said it right. I would love to come one day, but if I don't, I would love to just teach you how to work with this. Love you, Edie. Oh God, there's so much love going on. Love you, Anna. Okay. Any more questions, guys? Thank you, Sarah. It is magic, Jaguar. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere yet, guys. I just want to know if there's any more questions. Samantha was asking, is this through yoga, or can anyone utilize this? Absolutely, you can use this in yoga. You can use this in yoga because it helps you develop effective cueing when you're able to detect which archetype is playing up right now. So sometimes when I'm working with people and I can tell that they haven't integrated the feminine, for example, and then I will use the knowledge of what I've learned from this particular way of reading to help to cue that person. You can yoga as well as meditation, actually. It's like, for me, it's like the best way that I can transfer skills from the world of psychoanalysis, psychotherapy into the yoga world. I know that there are other ways, of course, because there are many ways to do things. The human potential is infinite. And if this isn't a time right now where we need to let go of paradigms, I mean, what else needs the Mother Earth needs to do to us so that we collapse these fucking paradigms? I assure you this, you know, when everything steers in a different direction after this, nothing's going to be the same again. A lot of our old belief systems are just gonna collapse. Thank you, Katya. Thank you, Papa Bear.
Hey, Jumbo,
Okay.
there's a question from Facebook Live. Just one more question.
Okay.
They're not in the Zoom room yet, but they're watching on Facebook Live. She says, it's my sister, actually, Katie. It says, what do you mean by go through the experience? You mean first I must receive psychomagic therapy?
Yes. So first of all, before you get to even study, you need to have a couple of sessions with me first to clear some stuff out, to clear some stuff about. So for example, like when Rosie was saying, I want to be a better leader, for example. I know those weren't the exact words, but let's just use something like that. And then you would have to go through a session to break through that, and then show up again for another session to see what else needs to happen. We break through that. And then I know that you can do this work. And when I know that you can do this work, you then go through the journey of the Arcana. So as you go through the journey of the Arcana, you are working with that archetype within yourself.
That is how you channel the energy of that archetype into your physical body, which is where all transformation happens, right inside of here. So when you go through all 22, that's how you learn, that's how you study it. And that's also how you study the psychomagic, how to prescribe it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, she's on Facebook Live, but I'm sure it's good.
Yeah, sure.
Before we do the reading, just in case anybody has to step out during the reading, where can they find you if they want to work more with you or learn more about this?
Okay, so follow me on Instagram at Jambo Dragon. You can also email me at jambo@jamboyoga.com. But I would actually prefer it if you send me a message on Instagram, because my email box gets pretty crammed and it often takes me days to get through that. So IG Jambo Dragon.
And Jambo, I know you and I were talking about launching a group program for you to teach this. Have you thought more about that, or is that something that's still in the works right now?
No, I have still thought about it, and it's still, I feel that it still needs to be that process.
Yeah,
it still needs to be, yeah, because an individual really needs that number of sessions to embody the stuff. I mean, you know, and that actually ties into the way that I was going to answer this question, because when you and I spoke about it, we were talking about 28 sessions.
Mm-hmm.
There are 22 major arcana, and then you need also an extra session on the numbers. In each of the sessions, well, first you go through the experience of the numbers and understand how to integrate that and the connection of that to everything that exists. And then we go through the experience of each of the arcana, right? Where you go through the symbology of the card, and I teach you Hodorowski's method, and I also give you the Jungian approach to it as well. So that you have in my opinion, more of a holistic understanding of working with these archetypes. So somebody asked a question here. I'm so fascinated by everything, Natalie. I'm so fascinated by everything that's being said, but I don't understand what shamanic psychotherapy is. Maybe because I hopped on late. Okay, so let me give you a brief story about the development of that phrase. Many of you guys who are working with the world of ceremony, power animals, totems, four directions, that kind of thing, will be familiar with a guy called Alberto Villoldo. Alberto, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his surname right, but he wrote a very famous book, something Healer Sage. Healer Sage something.
Shaman Healer Sage.
That's the one. That's the one. I was like, what do you mean? And I also know exactly why I had a block around calling him using that word in the title of this book, but that's a completely different subject. It's more about the politics of how these teachings have come from the Native Americans into the rest of the world. But I don't want to get into that today because that's a long run. That's a long dragon run. But what I'll say is this, that he was within the realms of psychology, right, or psychotherapy. And he noticed that there were moments when it was taking him way too long to take his clients through a particular process. And so he understood that there were things such as plant medicine and some sort of healings that went on in the Native Americas where people were able to transform through this stuff much more faster. So when we have the word shamanic in front of psychotherapy, that's what it means. Like you're going in to the root of the issue way faster, right to the wound, direct to the wound, and then out. So the difference between this work and what I would call more modern day psychotherapeutic work is that in a talking therapy, I don't want to just talk about psychotherapy here, but in a talking therapy situation in the modern day world, there needs to be a certain type of rapport build. Like, you know, you need to build trust between you and the other person. And there's a long process before the defenses and the shields come down and the truth comes out. And then finally, when the truth comes out, there's this process of unpicking it and understanding it. And then there's a process of rewiring it and realizing it. So it's a very, very long process. And those of you guys who have been involved in the world of plant medicine and shamanic healing will know that method of taking somebody through a process is very, very fast. So the first of all, you start reading or playing with the cards, but it's the process of going through it that enables you to channel. So, oh, thank you, Little Bear, for sharing your experience. I really appreciate that. Yes, Little Bear, you've nailed it. It's about falling in love with them. I'm looking forward to working with you, Sean. So yeah, to go back to what Rosie was asking just now, it's 28 sessions really. That's the amount of time that I really need to take somebody through the process. And you guys, we can organize it so that you do it in small groups as well. But I really need to know that you can go deep and that you can do the work and that you will do the psychomagic on your own. We're talking about, Callum is asking, are we talking about healing the root cause of trauma or integrating the masculine and feminine? Integrating masculine and feminine will depend on the root cause of the trauma. So we're really going to the root cause of the trauma. I'm really glad that you guys dig this. And you know, I was quite reluctant. I'm usually very reluctant to share this kind of work to such a wide community of people, mainly because I have some things around the word shamanic that I'm still working on right now. And I think it's more around, am I really explaining myself well? Because I don't describe myself as one. If other people want to call me one, that's totally fine. But I often get quite shy about that word. However, when I'm doing the work, it is shamanic, but it's not me. If there are no more questions, anything happening on Facebook, Rosie?
No, we're all good.
Yeah. Okay, great. So shall we do a little, actually there's quite a lot of people here who I've done readings for.
Cool. You ready to bring Corey on?
I would love to bring Corey on.
All right, here we
I would
go.
love to connect.
Hi, Corey.
Hello. Hey,
Hi,
everyone.
Corey.
Hi.
Hi. Where are you? Why don't I see you? Ah, there you are. Hi.
I'm so excited
doing,
to be
Corey?
here. Thanks, Jumbo. I'm great. I'm really great. Yeah.
Thank you for volunteering, my love.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me on.
Do you have anything that you would like to ask about?
Yeah, I was pondering this when you had asked me that question earlier this morning, and I guess the question that comes up for me is like I'm eager. I'm feeling eager to know like what action do I take next? Like what's next? All these beautiful manifestations have been happening. I've like fully stepped into this vision that I've created for myself a couple of years ago, and I'm eager for something more, and I don't exactly know what that is yet. So that's where I'm at. My question is like, okay, what's next? What action do I take next?
Okay. Corey, okay, please close your eyes.
Okay.
And start taking a couple of deep breaths. And begin to sense the inner world that encompasses the breath that you take into it. There you go.
And allow yourself to sense into this enormous, deep and widespread inner world. Ah. Okay. Thank you, Corey. You can open your eyes. Corey, do you mind if I show everyone these cards, or can I just, would you like me to do
No,
that?
I do not mind. You could do that.
Okay, just give me a second. I'm going to send this to Rosie.
Okay.
Okay, you should see that in a moment. And when you see it, I would like you to just take a look at it.
Okay.
You see it?
No, not yet. Is she gonna put it in the group chat again?
I think what might be a good thing to do would actually be to open it up and share the screen so everybody can look at it at the same time. Is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah. Good idea.
Cool. Can you guys see that? Can everybody see?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
Right. Where's Corey, though?
And Jumbo, let me know if you want me to
Yeah.
take this down, okay? Whenever you're ready to stop. Okay.
What I need is, as long as you guys can see it, and maybe just let Corey see it now that everyone has had a look, because I just need to see Corey's faces. I see other people's faces and I'm starting to like connect to them too. And I'm like this. I can stay connected to Corey. How can I make that happen?
I took a screenshot of it, so.
Ah, great. Okay, great. Okay, I've got you, Corey. So Corey, you can see, all right. So I'm now gonna speak in first person, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Where I am now is realizing that I've been incubating, I've been resting, I've been researching, I've been going inside. I've been reflective, I've been meditating about the very things that I want to have in my life. And actually deep down inside of me, what I desire is a magnetism that I relate to, that happened a long time ago in the past that I'm very familiar with. I know that I've got it within me. I've experienced it before enough times in my past. And I would like now to move into a life where I believe that I'm a magnet. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And with this realm of magnetism is actually around my femininity. This is the moon. I'm looking at the moon. With my femininity, where I'm the graceful, powerful, almighty, and respected goddess.
And so then you see that there are 4 lines, four lines, 5 rows. Excuse me, 4 rows, 5 columns. My word, my language is all over the place right now, excuse me. So like where I am now is recognizing that there's other stuff, there's other parts of me that I haven't tapped into yet. I know that they're there, I can feel them. This is the force, top left-hand corner. I know that they're there, I'm familiar with them. I know that they're deep down inside. I've touched them before, I've kissed them before, I've made friends with them before. I've even fed them before. Then when you look at the far right, at the card number 6, where you will end at the level of your mind, is completely being able to trust your own intuition, which is something that you still don't do. The moon, feminine energy, is about receptivity. It's about intuition. On the level of your emotions, which is the next row down, you can see 17th card, the star. So right now there is an anxiety around there's an emotional anxiety around your body. And where you want to get to that is actually to look at the card 13 from the far right. Where you want to get to that is to not be so engrossed by that which is truly superficial when it comes to your own physical body. On the level of your sexual and creative energy, we're looking at card number 4, the Emperor. I'm super over controlling about the way that I do stuff when it comes to my sexual and creative energy. I'm trying to be meticulous. I'm OTT about it. I want to do the right thing. Everyone must know that I'm doing the right thing. And where I will end up actually on my sexual and creative journey is a brand new one with the Magician. And so on the level of your material life, your wealth, your physical reality, where you are now is there's actually, it feels as though you're in a really good place, actually. Nothing's too much of a problem, you know, materially wise. Things are just okay. I'm fine, confident. Everything is safe. I've probably got enough food. I've probably got my own space. I probably can pay my own bills. You know, I'm good. I'm good. But what I want is more. So when the temperance shows up here, it's showing us, remember earlier when we hit the ceiling? Yeah, everything's here now. Like everything is here. Why am I not satisfied? I want more. Does that make sense? Do you have anything to ask?
No, that makes sense.
Great. On the level of your mind, Corey, the level, well, actually, so now you see the 2 cards, the next 2 rows on the left-hand side. This is letting me know what are you doing on the internal world and the external world in relation to these 4 aspects of who you are. I spoke about the level of the intellect, your emotions, your sexual and creative energy, and your material reality. So within the Major Arcana, these 4 aspects are what make up the human experience. So very much like in yoga, we have the 7 major chakras. In the Arcana, you have 4 aspects. And then they also correspond to the minor Arcana, you know, the swords, the wands, the cups, and the pentacles. But that's very much about divination of the future. And this is way more about working with the unconscious in the present moment. I'm not going to tell you your future. I'm telling you what your unconscious wants. Does that make sense? Right now, within the level of my mind on the inside, I'm in this cycle, I'm in this emotional cycle on the inside. And the reason why I have this emotional cycle is actually because I don't think I was born smart. I don't think I was born intelligent. And so the level of my emotions, there's the part of me on the inside where I really want to be much warmer to my physical body. I want to be kinder to it. I have a question for you. Are you in a relationship? Okay, and then like this, so in the inside, there is a desire to go deeper into the connection, the closeness of that relationship. Right? On the outside, there is this, you know, like this, on the outside of it, you're like in a bit of a bubble when it comes to the way that you interact with this other.
Can you say that one more time?
Sure. I'm in a little bit of a bubble with the way that I want to work with this other, because on the inside I have this desire. I want to go deeper. I want to have more warmth. I want to have more blessings around it. So that's what's going on the inside, right? So on the outside, because that's what you want on the inside, on the outside, it's affecting all of your actions, your behaviors, and everything that you say. Because actually on the outside, you are unconsciously attempting to engineer that you have more of this warmth, deeper connection, etc., etc. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Right. Okay. Now, on the level of your sexual and creative, are you okay? Are you doing okay? Okay, great.
I'm good.
Great. Because I know you and I, right? I know we can go deep into the psoas and we can rotate it and we can clean it up from behind. But like, we've got a lot of people watching here. Definitely okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
So on the level of your sexual and creative energy, actually on the inside, you're aware that something now has to change. There is something going on the inside around sexuality, or sexual and creative energy are the same thing for me. It's like that outburst of creativity, right? It's like where that energy is born from. And what's going on around that now, both internally is like, and externally, is a freeze. I'm not doing anything about it. That's what's going on the inside. Does that make sense? And so also on the outside, because that's what's going on the inside, on the outside, it's like this. I'm just not going to move. I might not even breathe. You know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And then on the level of your material, on the inside, there's great criticism about what you have. Like you're picking that tiny detail about stuff. And on the outside, it appears here as though, I mean, I don't know what you're doing right now, because we're, everyone's in lockdown, right, where you're at? Yeah, right. But
it's not very intense as it seems in other parts of the world, but yes, laying low for sure.
Right. Is there an aspect of you right now that kind of wants to spend money?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I want to, because what the bottom row looks like this to me. I want to go shopping. That's what the bottom row looks like to me.
No, you like, yes, that is definitely on point. Yeah, that's on point.
Yeah, right. Okay, so so let's dive a little bit deeper into this stuff, yeah, and into the how. Okay, and on the how, on the level of the intellect, is very much about, look, the devil is asking you to look at things seriously for a second. Look at the reality of it, because on the inside, the unconscious thinks that it's not smart enough. And the devil is saying, come on, have a look at your life. Look at what you've achieved. How can you still be repeating this story that you're not fucking smart enough? That's what the devil is saying to you.
Yeah, that really resonates.
Yeah. On the level of your emotional energy, do you remember the 16th card when I said that this is the energy of an orgasm?
Yeah.
Do I need to say any more?
Well, can you touch on that card more? Like it's like I want to party, right? Like that was the
Yes,
party card.
That's it. I want a party card. So like yeah, go on. What were you gonna say?
Well, yeah, like I feel like I've been just celebrating and been in that, like, oh my gosh, like things are really working out for me. Like life is a party. And I have noticed I felt guilty for that. Like, I'm like, things are always working out for me. And then I notice, I'm like, well, not everyone has it this way. And I feel guilty and shame about that. And then I think it kind of suppresses my intelligence for where I've gotten to in life. I'm like, oh, I want to hide that. I've been noticing.
Okay, great. Because this is the level. Because this is the house god card 16. He's on the level of your emotions. So thank you for sharing that, because that's it, right? That you are doing it, but there's this emotional grip on the inside, which you describe as guilt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
On the level of your sexual and creative energy, we have the 7th card, which is saying, come on, let's just go out there. Just go for it. Trust. Absolutely. Now is the time for you to just trust. But you can't, because the moment that you do, there's this other niggle in the back of your head that says, you better not do that, because not everyone is as fortunate as you. You know, you're privileged, and like you need to hold back. Don't show off and don't throw your money everywhere. Stop shopping. You know, that's what that voice is doing, right?
Yeah.
Stop having such a good time. Something is supposed to be wrong, Corey. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so on the level of your material, shows up as the Pope. And so when the Pope is showing up here, in order to go into the expansion, you know, the more, like to move through the ceiling, you actually need the help of a male teacher. Ironic that, huh?
Mm.
To get through this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we really, what these cards are the combination of the cards, particularly with the devil and the house guard, is really showing you that the box that you're in, and the box that you're in is around the shame of partying and having a really good time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
No, I guess I just had this thought where it was like, I feel like I'm telling the story where I can like party and have a really good time and like things are really great, but I also can't have like a spiritual practice. So I'm like, I want to be in this like both and thing, but I noticed that my mind is like, oh, well, you can't have a good time and have all this party and celebration and be focused and clear on what you want. Like I'm like recognizing that I don't think I can have both simultaneously. Like
Okay,
I either
Corey,
have to be serious and focused or not.
Okay, look at these 2 cards. Can you see them both?
I'm just gonna make you bigger. Okay, yeah. Yep.
You have the devil on top, and then you have the Pope underneath. These 2 cards were the top and bottom of the line of your solution. Now notice this. The devil is 15, the Pope is 5. They are both the numbers of uncomfortable transformation. The Pope channels from God, from spirit. You know, all the rainbows in the yoga world, that's the Pope there. The devil is saying, what about the orgasm? What about the other ways that you celebrate life? You can't have one without the other. Now, when they are in this order, when the Pope is on top and the devil is at the bottom, then there is a harmony between the way that the energy of spirit moves through you. But they show up this way around, which then reflects the very thing that you were just talking about in relation to how can I have a spiritual practice and party at the same time? Look,
Yeah.
a long time ago, in all Christian traditions, the devil was mentioned, Satan was mentioned. And then for a couple of centuries, they managed to hide him away. They took him away. We don't need Satan. We just need pure God. And then a few decades, or maybe a few centuries after that, they realized, actually, we really need the devil. Because there's no wholeness if there's only the Pope. You know, when the Pope only exists on his own, you know what happens? Abuse,
of power. Because he is human. The devil is an angel. So when you speak about wanting to have a spiritual practice, do you want to be human? You want to be the devil? Or you want to be both? And this is right. And the thing is that this is where you are now in your material reality. You are here. This is what you are. But then you have this guilt that comes up that questions these two here.
Mm-hmm.
So before I actually give you your Psychomagic, I'm going to tell you a little story. I know that we're running out of time, so I'll be very quick about it, okay?
Hey, Jumbo.
Maybe like, yes. Do we need to cut it short?
No. We're okay. We actually don't have anything scheduled after this for another like hour and a half. So you're all good. Okay. So just take the time that you need. And if people can stay on, they can stay on. If not, then they can just watch the replay later.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Rosie. So about 15 or so years ago, there was a famous Taoist priest that was visiting the UK from China. He was one of my teachers, and he was coming to my area because he had to deliver some ceremonies. Some people had passed, and for some reason he had to come and do a couple of funerals. And so it was my task then, after these two funerals, to take him on a tour of the UK. And I had to take him from Newcastle upon Tyne, which is up north, all the way through England and into the other end of Wales. So we had to go a very, very long journey. It's like an 8-hour journey, something like that. And then when we got to Wales, I had to take him around to meet all these people where he could deliver these ceremonies. So I was instructed to go meet him at a train station at 9 a.m. in the morning. And you know me, I don't start anything until 10. So I rock up at this train station at 9 a.m. thinking, fuck me, now I've got to do this, right? And so 10:30, yeah, right? Thanks, Rosie. And so I rock up at this train station. I get in there and he's sitting in the train station and he's drinking a bottle of bud. 9 a.m. drinking a bottle of bud. Spiritual leader of China, Taoist priest, drinking a bottle of bud. And I walk in and I think, what's going on? I'm in my early 20s, right? Or something like that. And I'm thinking, oh God, what the fuck's going on here? Like, you know, oh fuck, this looks a little bit weird. It looks a bit weird, but I know he's the real deal. I've seen him work. So I go in, I sit down, I talk politely, and I'm frowning, and I'm probably being super judgmental. He probably knows what's going on, but whatever. And then we get on the train. And like I said, it's a 7-hour journey. And so there were many moments on the train. There were many moments on the train where there were some obstacles. We had to stop for some reason. And it was a really, really hot day. And so the train stopped and he was bored. And it stopped for some time. There was a huge delay. And then he got up and just went and took a walk. And I thought, I must be going to the toilet or something like that. And he comes walking back down the carriage. And as he's walking down the carriage, in his hand is a can of bud. Now, hang on a second. Ricky, I need you to stop, please. Excuse me. He's doing his own ceremony and then it's a little loud. So he's having a happy ceremony and then I'm like, Ricky, God. So where did I get to? Oh yeah, so he's walking down the carriage, the train carriage, holding this can of bud. And he starts to recite this poem. Now in Chinese, when you recite a poem, it sounds like you're singing. So he's walking down, he's doing this like, la, 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 talking, like, and then he sits down and he goes, and then the journey begins once again. And then the train moves. And he takes a swig, eyes looking at me the whole time, puts the can down. And I put my phone down, I lean forward and I go, teacher, I really need to ask you this. I don't understand how you can get away with doing that. I don't get it. Like, you know, and he's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I said, well, if anyone in this country saw me drinking beer as a healer, they would totally criticize me and say that, you know, like you can't do that. I would totally get judged for it. And he looked at me, he put his can down, he leaned right up to my face, Corey, right up to my face, and he went, Jumbo, if you've got it, you've got it. And I was like, the biggest lesson of my life right there. Biggest lesson of my life right there, Corey. And so, you know, like, and now we live within this world where you're like, okay, to be a yoga person, you have to follow these rules. I thought I came here to become liberated. And now you're telling me I've got to have that subscription, that yoga mat, those pants, and that fucking diet. I can't eat that shit. I'm Asian. Stop making me eat that shit. It tastes like shit. Stop it. But I have to eat it, otherwise I'm not spiritual enough. I have to do this. Because of course, what does the Pope eat? Shit food. What does the devil eat? Feasts. So your psychomagic is this. Do you live with other people?
Yeah, I'm currently living with my boyfriend.
Okay, so it's just the both of you?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because I really the idea would be right now is that you would have, I would want you to have a party. But you can't. So, well, you're going to have one online. All right? You ready for your psychomagic?
Okay.
Okay. You are to wear 2 outfits at the same time. On the right side of your body, you're to wear the perfect yogini, I am so holy, mala beads, clear complexion, you know, rub some, I don't know, use some vegan products on the right side of your body, okay? Like that kind of the right side has to be plastered with organic, natural, vegan, good quality shit, okay? And then on the left-hand side of your whole body, I want you to dress like a whore.
Oh my God, okay.
Yeah, a fucking whore. I want to see the sluttiest underwear, the sexiest top. I want you revealed. The left side of your body has to say this: I'm available. I'm available. All right. And then also on the left side, I want you to carry something that you like to take that is very non-yogic. Very non-yogic. Okay. Then you are to host a Zoom party that has to last 90 minutes. Oh yeah, 90 minutes. And you need to have 90 minutes of a playlist going on, and it needs to be fucking rocking. So this is what you need to do. I need you to send a message out to everyone and say, hey guys, it's my birthday. And you have to do it as super close to this date as possible, because now the psychomagic is being channeled through. So it's important that you do this very, very soon. So you tell everyone, hey guys, it's my birthday this Saturday. I really want to invite you guys to a party. It's going to be at this time, it's this playlist, and you know it's going to be a huge dance party. We're going to celebrate, and you're going to do whatever you like to celebrate. Look at all your friends supporting you right now. This is fucking perfect. This is perfect. So then you show up.
Oh my God.
You show up, Corey. Right, the right side of you is like this holy. I'm so holy. I don't even shit. On the left side, you're like, I want anal. Got it?
Oh my God.
Right? Oh yeah. Now, as you're dancing, you know, you're dancing like this in front of. So when you're dancing to the right side, you need to do all this Shiva 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 Shambho. And then when you turn to the left, you need to fucking twerk. You need to work on the left side. Got it? Okay.
My God.
So then, so that, you know, you're dancing around, and then you go head towards the computer, because you've got to do that at least every 7 minutes or something like that. And then you would see Rosie, and then if you see Rosie on the right, whilst you're facing her from the right, you have to speak to her as though you're so holy and perfect, and that they only speak about love and light, and there's only rainbows that come on my face. And then you kind of go on dancing and all that kind of stuff. And then something else happens, and then like you're going back to the camera next time, and then this time as you go, it's your left-hand side facing the camera, and Cindy's going, Corey, and then you talk to her like you're a filthy fucking whore that wants a fucking rocket. And this has to last for 90 minutes. After the 90-minute process, after the 90-minute process, you may continue to party dressed in this outfit as you are, as Corey, or you can go get changed.
Okay.
And then, Corey, you will believe in your magnetism as you are. Then you will believe in your intuition because you won't have this additional fucking voice echoing in the back of your head, irritating the shit out of you and getting in the way of you experiencing being a human being. You are human, my love, and you deserve to be free, liberated. Liberated.
Mm.
Do you have any
Shit, that
questions?
resonates. No.
What
I
were
feel
you gonna
really
say?
uncomfortable. Yeah, it just resonates. I feel really uncomfortable with this homework, which I know is like a really great thing. Yep, feel a little nauseous, and I am excited to host a party though. I tell you what. Dressing up is gonna be dressing up like that is gonna be a challenge, but I'm really excited to like incorporate both these sides and blend them together and celebrate that. So yeah. I hope you all come and support me.
Yeah.
All right. Oh my gosh.
Oh, in case I forget also, and then you know, on the whenever you're doing something on the right, you've got to eat something like super healthy. On the left, whatever you decide to ingest, I'm going to leave that entirely up to you. But you do that through the left side. Because I don't know what your version of that stuff is.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So good. So good.
Yeah.
Wow, Jumbo. Thank you for this medicine. Yeah, thank you. And I do, like, I also want to say I resonate so much with, like, when I asked the first question of like, okay, what action do I take next? I know that I'm like searching for something like another teacher, and I've been so connected to male energy, so that resonates so much. And yeah, that was really on point too. So I want to talk about continuing this work because this is just like blown my mind.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
right.
I was so glad that it was you. So glad that it was you. And one more thing, Corey, before you go to sleep for the next 3 nights, I need you to look at the image of these cards, and they must be the last thing that your eyes see before you go to sleep. Allow the images in this position just to go into your eyes and go to sleep. Then you will wake up. When you wake up, immediately start to write. Whether you remember anything or not, just write. Okay. And then you will just you will connect to some of the reasons why this is happening, which I don't really want to go into publicly.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. Would you be willing to take another picture? There's just like 2 cards that I can't see because of the light.
Absolutely. I will do that right away for you. I won't move the stuff, and I will send it to you personally.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Awesome.
Corey,
Thank you so
was
much, Jumbo.
It's such a pleasure to be able to hold you, my love. Really, really.
Thank you. Feels so good to reconnect with you. I miss you.
I've missed you too. I've missed you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jumbo. Thank you, everyone else, for holding space.
All right, guys. Thank you, Corey. Jumbo, that was so amazing. I'm so excited to come to this party, Corey.
Stay tuned.
All right, so wrap it up. So if anybody wants to find Jumbo, send him a message on Instagram. Jumbo Dragon.
Yes. Yes, please. And if you really can't get hold of me there, then send me an email at jambo@jamboyoga.com, and it'll eventually get to me. Yeah.
Or just tap into the quantum field and meet him there, and he's usually hanging out. So if you have access to the quantum field, you can find him there too.
Yes.
This replay in the Love Tribe if you want to go back and rewatch it, because there's a lot of information. And later today, we have Corey is doing breath work in just an hour and 15 minutes, so at 8 a.m. Pacific time. So if you guys want some delicious, newly awakened yoga horror, show up to the breath work at 8 a.m. We also have Lola teaching yoga at 9:30 a.m. Pacific. Hummingbird is doing a ceremony at 11 a.m. Pacific. Kit and I are presenting at 1:30, so make sure you don't miss today's session. We also have Little Bear, Awakened Bear now is her new name, teaching breakdancing at 3:15 p.m. We've got Queenie at 5 p.m. Create your own virtual reality show like a pro. So today is jam-packed with all of the volcano stars. I'm really excited. And actually, the funny thing is, Hummingbird and Lil Bear are also both people we know through Jumbo as well. So isn't that funny? All of us are connected today. All right, guys. Such a beautiful
Thank you so much, Rosie, for inviting me. I love you so much.
Love you too. Thank you so much for coming. This is so amazing. All right, guys, we'll see you in a little bit. Bye.
See you in a bit, guys. Bye, bye, bye.